Super, thank you. Well, first of all, I'd just like to say thank you for inviting me here today. It's a great honour for me to be able to speak with you. Today, I'd like to talk with you about precarity and power. So first, we're going to look at our precarious predicament. Now, you all know the science. The scientists have been warning about the looming climate and ecological crisis for decades, and their words have not been heeded. Today, we are on a trajectory towards chaos. Scientists like Professor Bill Maguire now openly express their lack of confidence in governments acting in time to limit warming to below 1.5 degrees. And the reduction in greenhouse gas emissions that is needed is, in his view, practically impossible. So in spite of decades of warnings, then, we have failed to bend the emissions curve. Now, at the heart of the problem is power. Now, power is the ability or the capacity to do something or to act in a particular way. So where does power reside and manifest today? Well, power sits with governance, with geopolitics, and with the vested interests of fossil fuel corporations that we all know and love and hate. It sits with orthodox thinking around economics, and such as the assumptions that underpin the IPCC integrated assessment models. And these assumptions do not embody the transformative change that's urgently needed by society. Now, the extreme inequality that our current systems support protects those causing harm from the consequences of their action. And many do not see the impacts that their high carbon lifestyles have on the vulnerable, and some knowingly look away. So my advice, my first point, is to please try to make sure that you understand power. It's a very complex concept, that you understand power in its many manifestations, and how it's preventing the radical transformation that you know we need, that we all know we need. So what does higher education have to do with this? Well, a lot. Now, our institutions, including our higher education institutions, explicitly and implicitly allow the status quo to continue. And yes, academics do some incredible research and they produce some excellent programs. I've been an academic myself for decades. That's not disputed. And you are all already doing amazing work to push educational institutions to do more and to act faster. But it's not enough for academic institutions to get their estates in order and to achieve their own operational net zero plans. They are actually perpetuating the crisis through much of their research and teaching. Now, some research actually causes harm, and that's obvious. The research that seeks to optimize fossil fuel extraction, for example. But other kinds of harm are less obvious. And these may be harms caused by the colonialist mindsets imposing solutions on the global south. And in the case of teaching, current academic programs are siloed, so they don't teach the big picture and the wider context. And much is taught through the narrow lens of the discipline, which means that the kinds of education you're getting is very impoverished and it's not preparing you adequately for the future. Worse, some programs deliberately feed the crisis by continuing to support careers in the fossil fuel industry. And other programs fail to anticipate the future that's coming down the tracks. So in short, much curriculum is just not fit for future purpose. Now next point is important. I would like you to fully realise and to fully understand that power sits with you. So what can you do with your power? You have much, much more power than you imagine. And you must all demand change, and you can do this in different ways. You can speak truth to power. You can insist that your courses teach you and prepare you for the precarious future that's coming down the tracks. And teaching about the poly crisis must not be an add-on. It must not be a 5-minute session on a Friday afternoon. It must be woven into all aspects of teaching and learning. Now, this is the goal of a new initiative I'm working on with a consortium of educators and academics, and we would love to work with you to drive real change. So I would urge you to contact me by the conference organisers if you'd like to learn more. We'd be delighted to work with you. You can demand that your institution stops accepting fossil fuel money for research, and there are campaigns already to do this. And you can demand that your institution stops promoting careers in the fossil fuel industry. There's some great work ongoing by different organisations on that front. Now, the biggest action you can collectively take is to vote with your feet. You can avoid institutions that have a poor ranking in the People and Planet league tables. And I can see that you have a speaker from People and Planet later on. They do amazing work. But by using tactics and by voting with your feet, you can be far more disruptive than you imagine. And you can do this by impacting an institution's bottom line. And that bottom line is not students and student satisfaction, it's a financial bottom line. So institutions derive all their revenue from, much of their revenue from teaching. Now, a coordinated campaign demonstrating your power could cause significant disruption. However, I acknowledge that that comes at a price to you, because such a campaign would disrupt your own education, would disrupt your own learning. But in my view, institutions are not acting fast enough. They're not going far enough. They're not moving quickly enough. We have a very small window now in which to try to minimize the harms that are actually going to be caused. It's widely acknowledged that we will overshoot the 1.5 degree target. Emissions are not coming down as swiftly as they need to. And although it's fair to say that institutions are moving in the right direction, the scientist Peter Kalmus will say that winning slowly is the same as losing. It's time for radical action. So it's our responsibility as the grown-ups in the room to support you in every way we can. And we owe it to you to act. And we need to help you to discover your own power and how you can leverage that. So I'd like to thank you for listening and to wish you a very productive and constructive conference. You are absolutely inspiring. You give me hope that the future can be a better place. Thank you.